95th. That number should have ended the conversation before it even began. Out of every woman on the WTA Tour, across every continent, every surface, every stadium under pressure lights, Alex Eala sits at 95th on the serve leaderboard. Analysts don't even dress it up anymore. They call it what it is. Not just weak, not just inconsistent. The worst serve in the top 50 of women's tennis. Pause on that, because what happens next should not exist inside the same reality. Berlin. Grass courts. Fast, low, unforgiving. The kind of surface where serve isn't just important, it is everything. The kind of place where big servers don't just win, they erase opponents before rallies even begin. And on that exact stage, that exact surface, a player with the worst statistical serve at the elite level walks out and does something that breaks logic. She beats the world number 2. Straight sets. No collapse. No miracle tiebreak escape. No opponent injury excuse to soften it. Just a clean, controlled dismantling of one of the most dangerous players on the planet. And then, as if that wasn't enough to confuse the sport itself, she comes back the very next night and beats the world number 8. Straight sets. 2 nights. 2 top 10 players. 2 of the cleanest wins of her career. And suddenly the question stops being, how good is she? It becomes something far more uncomfortable. How is this even possible? Because tennis is supposed to be simple at its core. You serve, you hold, you control pressure. Especially on grass. Especially against elite opponents who punish every weakness without hesitation. But Alex Eala is breaking that rule in the most visible way possible. A broken weapon producing elite results. And the mind starts searching for answers that don't exist in highlight reels. Hot streak. Opponents off form. Anything to make it make sense. But the numbers refuse to cooperate. Because this isn't a one-match accident. This is a pattern. And it starts with the serve. 95th on the leaderboard doesn't just mean below average. It means she is losing the one shot every other top player builds their entire identity around. The serve is supposed to be free points. Controlled aggression. Instant advantage. Players like Elena Rybakina use it like a weapon system. Like a reset button. Like emotional insurance. But Eala walks onto court without that safety net. Every service game becomes a fight. Not for dominance, but for survival. And yet somehow, she is still winning at the highest level. Which forces a deeper problem into view. If the serve is broken, what about the rest? The return game? Middle of the pack. Around the mid 40% range on return holds. Not elite. Not dominant. Not terrifying on paper. Second serve return points? Even lower in ranking terms. Outside the top tier again. So statistically, there is no clear engine here. No obvious superpower screaming, future champion. And still, top 40. Consistently. Still giant kills on big stages. Still, players walking off court shaking their heads like something invisible just happened. So if the numbers aren't explaining it, something else is. And Berlin starts to reveal it. The match against Elena Rybakina is where the illusion of dominance is supposed to become reality. Because early on, it looks exactly like a mismatch. Rybakina comes out firing. Massive first serves. Immediate pressure. Aces landing like clockwork. 3 quick blows in the opening games and the scoreboard starts tilting fast. This is the moment most players disappear. This is where the match is supposed to end quietly. But Eala doesn't react like someone being overwhelmed. She adjusts. Not with power. Not with aggression. With something far more disruptive. She simply gets the ball back. And again. Not short returns. Not passive floats. Controlled. Heavy enough to take time away. Precise enough to deny free attacks. And slowly, something strange begins to happen. Rybakina's rhythm changes. Not because Eala is hitting winners, but because she is removing certainty. Every serve that should have ended the point is coming back one more time. Every almost winner becomes another ball in play. Every free point turns into a question mark. And in elite tennis, that question mark is where pressure begins to rot confidence. Eala herself described it later in the simplest way possible. Almost casually. Just get the ball in play. That's it. No fantasy of overpowering a power server. No illusion of matching pace. Just survival of contact. Just extending the moment. And that strategy begins to do something dangerous. It drags Rybakina into rallies she didn't want to play. Rallies she is not built to enjoy. Rallies she is suddenly losing more often than expected. And now the match flips, not because of a dramatic winner, but because the structure underneath it starts to crack. But here is where it gets even more interesting. Because this isn't just about returning serve. Something deeper is happening in the neutral rally. Once the ball is in play, Eala doesn't behave like an underdog trying to survive. She behaves like the player controlling tempo. She redirects pace instead of absorbing it. She resets patterns instead of reacting to them. She forces one extra shot, then another, until the opponent is no longer attacking, but simply trying to stay balanced. And that is the real shift. Because against elite hitters, survival is not enough. You have to steal control. And Eala keeps doing it without the one weapon that usually creates control in the first place. The serve, which makes the entire thing feel upside down. And by the time the final points of that match arrive, something has already changed in the atmosphere of the tournament. A player ranked 95th in serve efficiency has just outlasted one of the most dominant servers in the world. On grass. At full speed. Under pressure. And the question stops being about skill. It becomes about identity. What kind of player wins like this? And more importantly, what happens when she stops needing to win like this at all? And then, the very next night, Berlin delivers an even louder contradiction. Because if the Rybakina match felt like survival turning into control, the next one feels like control turning into authority. Elena Svitolina steps in with experience, discipline, and a game built specifically to punish inconsistency. She has seen every version of rising talent before. She has broken momentum before it even begins. She is not supposed to be surprised by anything. And for a while, nothing looks unusual. The rallies are tight. The patterns are clean. The scoreboard stays close. The match feels like it is waiting for one player to blink. But something subtle is different. Eala is not drifting. She is not reacting point to point like a player trying to survive pressure. She is building something. Each return lands a little deeper. Each rally starts a little earlier. Each exchange removes a fraction of Svitolina's comfort. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but steadily, like pressure building in a sealed room with no release valve. And this is where the contrast becomes impossible to ignore. Because on paper, Svitolina should be the more stable player, the more experienced player, the one who controls rhythm. But in reality, she is the one being forced into defensive positions first. Not by power, not by aces, but by repetition, by refusal to miss. Eala breaks her 3 separate times in the match. And every break follows the same pattern. No chaos, no wild winners. Just extended rallies where Svitolina thinks she has control, until suddenly she doesn't. Until she is running slightly more than she wants. Until she is hitting one extra ball she didn't plan for. Until the pressure becomes internal instead of external. And that is where matches quietly change. Because elite tennis is not usually decided by who hits better shots. It is decided by who breaks first under repetition. And Eala, despite everything the numbers say about her serve, is the one applying that repetition. By the time she closes it out 6-3, 6-4, something unusual has happened in Berlin. 2 nights. 2 top 10 opponents. 2 straight set wins. And not a single match where she needed to rely on a tiebreak escape or late chaos. Which should not be happening for a player with a broken foundation. And this is where the story stops being about technique. And starts becoming about structure. Because at some point, the question shifts from, how does she win, to something more uncomfortable. Why does she win like this? Why does a player with one of the weakest serves on tour consistently produce some of the cleanest victories against elite opposition? The answer is not in the serve. It is in what the serve removes. Think about what a strong serve normally gives a player. Free points. Easy holds. Short games. Emotional breathing room. That breathing room creates a hidden effect in elite tennis. It allows small errors to exist without consequence. A missed forehand? Doesn't matter, I'll hold serve anyway. A loose return game? Doesn't matter, I'll recover on my next service game. That cushion builds tolerance for imperfection. But Eala does not have that cushion. There is no free reset. No guaranteed hold. No easy escape. Every single point has to be earned from scratch. And that changes everything. Because players who cannot rely on free points develop something most elite hitters slowly lose. They become intolerant of error. Not emotionally, structurally. A loose shot is not just a mistake. It is a threat to the entire game state. So the discipline becomes automatic. No wasted swings. No unnecessary risk. No hope shots. Just construction. Point by point. Rally by rally. And that is why the stat sheet starts to break when it tries to define her. Because it sees a weak serve and assumes weakness everywhere else. But what it is actually looking at is a system built entirely around elimination of waste. And that system shows up in the most shocking number from Berlin. 9 unforced errors. Across an entire 2-set match against the world number 8. 9. That is not just low. That is suffocating control. That is a player refusing to hand over anything unless forced. And suddenly the contradiction starts to dissolve. The weak serve is not dragging her down. It is forcing precision everywhere else. It is removing shortcuts. It is removing safety. It is removing the ability to hide. And that is where the psychological layer appears. Because when you remove a player's safety net, you do not just change their tactics. You change their personality on court. Eala does not play like someone trying to survive talent gaps. She plays like someone who assumes every point must be earned the hard way anyway, so there is no point waiting for luck. That mindset becomes visible in her shot selection. She does not retreat behind the baseline and hope for errors. She steps into the court. She takes the ball early. She redirects pace instead of absorbing it. She forces opponents to hit uncomfortable shots instead of comfortable winners. And that is where elite players start to feel something they rarely feel against younger opponents. They stop feeling in control. Even when they are leading. Even when they are serving well. Even when the scoreboard says they should be fine. Because the rally tells a different story. And the rally is where truth lives. Now zoom out. Because Berlin is not an isolated event. This pattern has already appeared before. Miami 2025. A teenager nobody was supposed to worry about walks through Madison Keys. Then IGA Swiatek. Not scraping through. Not stealing tight sets. Winning cleanly. Straight sets. Same structure. Same discipline. Same refusal to collapse under power. And that is where analysts stop calling it luck. Because luck does not repeat against multiple world number ones. But method does. And that brings everything back to the serve again. Because now the serve is no longer just a weakness. It is a filter. It removes the type of player who depends on shortcuts. It removes passive habits. It removes emotional laziness. And what is left is a player who has been forced, since the beginning, to build a game that cannot rely on anything external. Not crowd momentum. Not free points. Not momentum swings from cheap holds. Just construction. Just control. Just bravery repeated over and over until it becomes identity. And even former world number ones notice it. Tracy Austin, watching live, didn't talk about dominance. She didn't talk about power. She talked about something far more revealing. Stability under pressure. Comfort in discomfort. And variation that creates uncertainty instead of force. That is the part casual viewers miss. Because Eala does not need to overpower elite servers. She needs to disturb them. Just enough spin. Just enough placement. Just enough depth. Enough to break timing. Enough to break rhythm. Enough to make even the best players hesitate for half a second longer than they want to. And at this level, half a second is everything. Now the contradiction finally resolves. A player ranked 95th in serve efficiency beating world number 2s and 8s on grass is not an accident. It is a system. A system built around the absence of free points. A system that converts pressure into discipline. A system that turns weakness into structural control. And the final layer is the most uncomfortable one for everyone else on tour. Because this version of her is not finished. She is still operating on what analysts quietly call a half-engine game. Meaning every elite result she has produced so far has come without a functioning elite serve, which leads to the only conclusion that actually unsettles the sport. If this is what she looks like incomplete, what does she look like when the missing piece arrives? Because if the serve ever moves from worst in the top 50 to just average, nothing about her game needs to change. She already wins neutral rallies. She already minimizes errors. She already breaks elite servers. She already handles pressure without collapsing. That means the upgrade does not add strength. It multiplies everything. And that is why Berlin feels less like a breakthrough and more like a preview. And this is where the conversation inside tennis circles quietly changes tone. Because once you accept that Berlin wasn't a fluke and Miami wasn't luck, you're left with a player who is doing something far more unusual than just beating top 10 opponents. She is breaking the usual development curve. Most young players rise in a predictable way. First they win with power. Then they learn consistency. Then they learn control under pressure. The serve usually arrives early as the foundation, and everything else is built on top of it. But Alex Eala's path is inverted. She built the house without the foundation everyone expected. And yet, it still stands. That is what makes coaches and analysts pause when they rewatch her matches. Because you can see it clearly if you slow everything down. There are moments where other players would normally escape trouble with a big serve. A free point, a reset, a breath. She doesn't get that moment. So instead, she develops something else. A kind of constant mental pressure that never releases. Every point matters slightly more for her than for her opponent. Every rally requires slightly more intention. Every mistake carries slightly more weight. And instead of collapsing under that imbalance, she adapts to it. Over time, that changes her entire match identity. She becomes the player who is most comfortable when nothing is comfortable. And that is where elite opponents start to struggle, because they are not used to being dragged into long sequences of earned everything. They are used to having moments where the match gives them something back for free. Eala removes that entirely. No free points. No free rhythm. No free momentum. Only decisions. Only pressure. Only execution. And the strange part is how calm it looks while it happens. There is no visible panic. No emotional swing that signals desperation. Even when she is down early, like against Rybakina, the body language doesn't shift into chaos. It stays controlled, almost mechanical, like she already accepted the difficulty before the match even began. That acceptance is what makes her dangerous. Because most players are still negotiating with difficulty when they face elite opponents. They are hoping for mistakes. Hoping for openings. Hoping for momentum shifts. She is not hoping. She is constructing. Shot by shot. Rally by rally. Point by point. And by the time opponents realize they are not in control anymore, they are already deep into a match where control has been slowly taken away from them without a single explosive moment. That is why her wins feel confusing on replay. There is no obvious turning point. No dramatic collapse from the opponent. No sudden surge of winners. Just gradual erosion. And eventually, scoreboard separation. Which brings everything back to the serve again, because the irony is unavoidable. The weakest statistical serve in the upper tier of women's tennis has produced one of the most structurally disciplined competitors in the sport. And now the question is no longer, how long can she survive with this weakness? The real question is, how much stronger does she become before that weakness is even addressed? Because if this version of her is already producing straight set wins over Grand Slam champions, already controlling neutral rallies against top 10 players, already committing single-digit unforced error matches on big stages, then the rest of the tour is not dealing with a player who is trying to catch up. They are dealing with someone who is still unfinished.